Welcome back to the Tunnel of Sane, where the vast mysteries of the universe are not just explained, they are felt. Today, we journey deeper into Carl Sagan's cosmos, a narrative of time, evolution, intelligence, and the long, winding thread of life that connects us to the stars. Let's begin. Chapter 8 travels in space and time. Imagine you're sitting still, but the Earth is spinning, orbiting the Sun, which itself is hurtling through the galaxy. In Chapter 8, Sagan invites us to reconsider what it means to travel, not just through space but through time. Time travel, once the domain of fantasy, is explored here through the lens of physics. Einstein's theory of special relativity reveals that time is not fixed. It dilates with speed. If you travel near the speed of light, time slows down. A spacecraft moving at such speeds could leave Earth and return, finding decades have passed here while only a few years have passed on board. This is no illusion. This is the reality of the universe. But Sagan also grounds us. While the physics is sound, the energy required to achieve such speeds is currently far beyond our reach. Yet, these ideas hint at what's possible, reminding us that the boundaries of now are not necessarily the limits of forever. We also dive into cosmic timescales, from seconds to billions of years. The Earth is 4.6 billion years old. Humanity, as a species, has existed for a mere blink in that span. Sagan uses a brilliant metaphor. If the entire history of Earth were compressed into a single calendar year, all of recorded human history would fall in the last few seconds of December 31st. How small we are, yet how far we've come. Sagan then shifts to interstellar travel. If we ever reach the stars, it won't be through brute force. It'll be through intelligence, through ships that harness physics, patience, and time. He warns us, though, the distances are vast, the risks enormous. Communication delays would span years. Colonizing another world is not a backup plan. It is a test of what kind of species we are becoming. In this chapter, Sagan reminds us that traveling in space is ultimately about understanding our place in time, past, present, and future. We are not just inhabitants of a world. We are voyagers drifting between stars, slowly waking to our cosmic heritage. From the vast stretches of time and space, we now turn inward to the story of life itself and how the universe became conscious through us. Chapter 9. The Lives of the Stars. The stars are not eternal. They are born, they live, and they die, much like us. In Chapter 9, Carl Sagan takes us on a stellar life cycle tour. It begins in the nebulae, clouds of gas and dust, floating in the cold vacuum. Under the influence of gravity, matter clumps together, pressurizes, temperatures soar. Eventually, nuclear fusion ignites, and a star is born. Our sun, too, was once part of such a cloud, a second or third-generation star, forged from the remnants of others. And this is important, because the elements that make up our bodies, carbon, nitrogen, iron, were all created in the hearts of long-dead stars. We are, as Sagan so famously put it, made of star stuff. The lives of stars depend on their mass. Small stars live long, steady lives, billions, even trillions of years. Massive stars burn bright and die young, sometimes in violent explosions called supernovae. In their death, they seed the galaxy with heavy elements, the raw ingredients for planets and life. Some stars, after death, collapse into dense remnants, white dwarfs, neutron stars, or black holes. These are no longer places we can walk or live, but they tell us stories of gravity pushed to the limit, of matter compressed beyond imagination. Sagan describes how, in galaxies across the universe, billions of stars live out these cycles endlessly. The universe, then, is not static. It is a dynamic living system, always recycling, always evolving. And yet, despite the grandeur of all this, the chapter circles back to us. The calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood, the oxygen we breathe, all were forged in the core of a star. The cosmos is within us, not metaphorically, but literally. Sagan invites us to reflect. The universe has become aware of itself through us. We are not separate observers. We are a part of the grand unfolding. Chapter 10. The Edge of Forever. Where did the universe come from? Where is it going? These are not just questions for philosophers. They are central to science. In The Edge of Forever, Carl Sagan takes us to the frontier of time and space, the birth of the cosmos itself. The universe, according to modern cosmology, began in a moment of unfathomable energy, the Big Bang, nearly 14 billion years ago. Not an explosion in space, but an explosion of space. All matter, energy, time, and space itself burst forth from a singular point. From there, the universe expanded, cooled, and began to form structure: atoms, stars, galaxies. This expansion continues to this day, a silent testimony to the universe's restless nature. But what came before the Big Bang? Sagan, like many scientists, reminds us, before may not be a meaningful concept. Time itself began at that moment. Asking what came before time is like asking what's north of the North Pole. It's not just unknown, it's undefined. Sagan then turns our gaze to the shape and fate of the universe. Is it open or closed? Will it expand forever or eventually collapse in a fiery reversal called the Big Crunch? We do not yet know. And in that uncertainty lies both fear and beauty. He explains how cosmic background radiation, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang, is the most compelling evidence for this origin story. It is not theory alone. It is observation. Sagan also delves into alternative cosmologies, cyclical universes, inflationary models, even the tantalizing idea of multiple universes or a multiverse, where different cosmic laws might prevail. This chapter is not just science, it's poetry. We're looking back in time when we look out at the stars. The further we see, the younger the universe becomes, until we reach that mysterious edge, the beginning of time. If the cosmos has an edge in time, what about us? What allows a civilization, or even a single human, to persist, to remember, to carry knowledge across generations? Chapter 11. The Persistence of Memory. It is what connects our past to our present. What good is a universe without the minds that can remember it? In this chapter, Carl Sagan explores the idea that memory is evolution's greatest invention. Memory is not just in human brains. It exists in every gene, every DNA strand, every behavior passed down through generations. First, Sagan takes us through genetic memory, how life encodes information in DNA. The very instructions that built your body were written billions of years ago, refined through the long experiment of evolution. Life began with molecules that could copy themselves. Over time, through trial and error, mutation and selection, life grew more complex, and eventually, conscious memory emerged. Animals developed nervous systems. Some could learn. Some could pass on learned behaviors. Then came humans, and with them, culture. For Sagan, this is a momentous step. Memory leapt beyond biology. Now, stories, rituals, and traditions could transmit knowledge faster than genes ever could. This is the origin of civilization. He describes how humans began recording information: cave paintings, tablets, scrolls, books. Each innovation a way to extend memory beyond a single lifetime. Libraries became memory palaces for the species. But Sagan warns, memory can be fragile. Cultures have risen and fallen. Knowledge has been lost, burned, buried, forgotten. The Library of Alexandria was one such tragedy, a symbol of how easily wisdom can vanish. And yet, we persist. Today, with digital technologies, we are creating memory that stretches across continents. But even this is vulnerable. Power grids can fail. Data can decay. A truly persistent memory, Sagan suggests, must be both physical and cultural, stored not just in machines, but in minds and passed on with care. In one of the most beautiful moments of this chapter, Sagan reflects on the golden record aboard the Voyager spacecraft. Chapter 12, Encyclopedia Galactica. Are we alone? This question, ancient and universal, takes center stage in Chapter 12. Carl Sagan explores the scientific search for extraterrestrial intelligence with logic, curiosity, and poetic hope. He begins by reminding us the universe is vast. With over 100 billion galaxies, each containing billions of stars and potentially even more planets, the odds seem favorable for life to exist elsewhere. But where is everyone? This paradox, known as the Fermi paradox, asks why in such a vast universe we've heard nothing from other civilizations. Sagan responds with thoughtful possibilities. Perhaps intelligent life is rare. Perhaps civilizations destroy themselves before they can speak. Or perhaps the universe is teeming with life, but we simply don't yet know how to listen. He introduces the Drake equation, a formula estimating the number of active, communicative civilizations in the galaxy. It depends on factors like star formation rates, the likelihood of planets, emergence of life, intelligence, and technology. But we don't know the values of these variables. We are guessing in the dark, and yet, even conservative estimates yield hope. Sagan discusses the efforts of SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, which listens for radio signals from the stars. If another civilization, even one 1,000 years ahead of us, were broadcasting, we might catch a whisper. And then, there's the Encyclopedia Galactica, a poetic metaphor Sagan uses for the accumulated knowledge of alien civilizations. Could there be a vast interstellar network of wisdom waiting to be discovered? Could we someday contribute our own entry? He also imagines what alien life might be like, not humanoid, but shaped by its world, by chance, by evolution. It might not think like us. It might not want to talk to us. And yet, the desire to reach out, to connect, seems universal. But Sagan is clear. Our first goal should not be to meet others. It should be to preserve ourselves, to ensure that we don't extinguish our light before it's ever seen. And that brings us to the final chapter, one that asks the most urgent question of all. If the universe is watching, what kind of world are we showing it? Chapter 13. Who speaks for Earth? Who speaks for Earth? This is the question Carl Sagan poses in the final chapter of Cosmos. A question that is not scientific alone, but moral, civilizational, existential. We have voyaged across the stars, through the atoms and the galaxies, into the mysteries of time and evolution. But here, at the conclusion, Sagan turns his gaze back toward us, to humanity, to our choices, to our future. He begins with a reflection on the paradox of the human species. We are capable of astonishing creativity, compassion, and intelligence. We have deciphered the structure of DNA, walked on the moon, and built machines that can look to the edge of the universe. And yet, we have also built weapons of unimaginable destruction. Sagan writes amid the shadow of the Cold War, an age when two global superpowers held the power to obliterate life on Earth in minutes. Nuclear weapons, he warns, are not just tools of war. They are symptoms of a deeper illness, our inability to cooperate on a planetary scale. We quarrel like children with matches in a dry forest, not realizing the scale of the fire we may unleash. In a chilling meditation, Sagan reminds us, we're the first species in Earth's history that can destroy itself completely and possibly the last. But he doesn't stop at fear. He offers a choice. We do not have to perish. We can turn away from destruction. We can choose dialogue over conflict, science over superstition, understanding over ignorance. The Earth is not divided by nature. We divide it with lines, flags, ideologies. But from space, those lines vanish. Seen from the stars, Earth is a single, fragile, shimmering world, a pale blue dot suspended in the void. All of human history, every joy and sorrow, every battle and triumph, every life has played out on that small stage. That realization is humbling and unifying. Sagan urges us to embrace this planetary perspective. If we are to survive and thrive, we must learn to see ourselves not as members of this tribe or that nation, but as citizens of Earth. He asks, if an alien spacecraft were to arrive today, who would speak for us? What story would we tell them? What values would we represent? Would it be greed, war, and fear? Or kindness, knowledge, and curiosity? Will we speak for Earth with dignity, as caretakers of life, seekers of truth? In that moment, Sagan brings the chapter to its emotional core. We must earn our place in the cosmos, not through conquest, not through technology alone, but through wisdom, through our ability to recognize that we share this tiny world with all other living beings, and that our fate is bound together. Musical note: music shifts to a slow, uplifting swell. He revisits the Voyager spacecraft, a symbol of hope, a tiny emissary from Earth, carrying the golden record. Music, languages, images of life on Earth, a message in a bottle, cast into the cosmic ocean. It is, perhaps, our first humble reply to the question, who speaks for Earth? We do, not as perfect beings, not as rulers of the universe, but as a young, evolving species, trying to understand, to reach, to survive. Sagan ends with urgency. The time to choose is now. We cannot wait for some distant utopia. The path toward a peaceful, united, and intelligent civilization must begin here, today, with us. Because if we fail, there may be no one left to speak for Earth. And so, we arrive at the end of our journey through cosmos. We've witnessed the birth of stars, the evolution of life, and the awakening of intelligence. We've discovered that we are not separate from the universe. We are the universe, contemplating itself. Carl Sagan didn't just give us science. He gave us perspective, a reminder that in all the vastness of space and time, we've been given this brief moment, this fragile world, to wonder, to understand, and to protect. The cosmos is not cold or indifferent when we bring meaning to it. When we choose curiosity over fear, knowledge over destruction, unity over division, we become worthy of the stars that made us. If this journey moved you, if it stirred wonder or gave you a new lens on life, then we invite you to subscribe to the Tunnel of Sane. Here, we explore not just science, but philosophy, history, religion, the great questions that define what it means to be human. Let's keep asking. Let's keep seeking. It's the beginning of something even greater. Thank you for watching.